People believe that the only way a situation can be corrected is if they force someone against their free will to become something that they're not, or force them to think a certain way that they think so that you would be accepted by them within a group. And if you don't, it makes you an outcast to everything and everyone, and nobody will accept you. Nobody's going to love you. But let me say this, okay? You cannot correct the situation by forcing somebody to do something they don't want to do. They're not comfortable to do. You can only rectify a situation within self. Because whether a person decides to shake their ass today, wear booty shorts tomorrow, wear a whole gown the next week, how you feel about a person is never going to change. How you feel about a person is how you're going to feel about a person. Okay? It goes on. That's on a soul level. That's just on a soul level. So if you're a person who, you know, let's just say I'm darker skinned and you are lighter skinned and you don't like me, whether I wear cut shorts tomorrow or whether I wear a gown the next week, you're not going to like me. Why? Because it had nothing to do with what I had on. It had everything to do with my color, my shade. If I was a person who, you know, which I am, I went to college, right? And you never went to college. You know, a person who did not receive that kind of education is not going to like the person who went to college. It's going to be a love or envy every single time. Why? It has nothing to do with your color. It had nothing to do with what you got on. It's because you're intelligent or you're educated, which means you have more opportunities than them. So they're not going to like you anyway. Whether you say something they like or said something funny. What may be funny to somebody, and it could be funny as shit, but it's not going to be funny to them because they just don't like you. It's never going to change. You can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do. That's on both ends. So that's just how I look at things. I was talking to my mother and I was telling her, why do people who have families or have any type of lineage with the Holocaust? And that's a harsh word, but that's what happened. You want to know why? If you just listen to the details of what I'm telling you, okay? The details is these people were forced out their home, caged up, fed bread and water. Children was pulled from their families, head shaved, beaten, starved, and just been thrown like a pile of leaves, like they weren't nothing. They went through the worst, the absolute worst. That's why they will always be respected. Always be respected. I don't care if you a person that say, well, I don't do the Jews. Well, let me correct you. I will always respect them. I will always respect them because nobody on this plane, not one, can say they went through the absolute worst. Their heritage went through the absolute worst in the situation, but they still ended with love. They didn't hold each other back. They didn't compare their struggles. They didn't do any of that. They are natural born earth angels. It's easy to say, point at somebody that you don't like or you disagree with what they do. or who they are as a person, it's so easy to do that and say, oh, we don't like them because, they study the Kabbalah, or they are Jewish, or she's black, or she's darker skin, or she's this and she's that. It's so easy to do that, right? But it's so easy to look at a person who got locks in their hair, they got gold in their mouth, they went through a struggle, but they'll give their last to somebody they barely even knew, and they'll defend somebody they don't even know. But guess what? Y'all will sit there and say that's the devil. It's crazy how you can point at somebody and say that's the devil and you see no horns, but you can't see an angel just because they wearing stones around their neck and big old tall hats and because they're different, because they wear more clothes on their back. They see life a whole lot different from you, or they can attract men simply because of their minds, or they can attract people in their lives because of how beautiful they are inside and out, or they can attract men because of the values and the morals that they carry. It had nothing to do with, oh, I don't like them because of how they treat anybody, because they never treated nobody bad. You can't see that person as an angel, but you can point at the devil. You could point at every devil. Let me tell you something. You only recognize things that you see within yourself. It's kind of like if you wake up every day and you walk outside and you say, man, these niggas always hating on me. And every day you wake up and you walk around and that's all you talk about and that's all you say. You know why? Because something in you carry that spirit. A person who walk in love is not going to see the same thing as a person who walk in hate and envy. A person who walks allowing their intuition to lead them is not going to see the same thing versus an egotistical person. They're not going to see things the same way. So when people open their mouth and they make judgments and statements and they do foul petty stuff, you think about the people that really went through that type of stuff. Y'all think about that for real. How would you feel if somebody came into your home? Because y'all panicked when they talked about the wall being built. But then you had people who was caged up. Families were caged up. Families were caged up. Kids was taken from their family. Somebody just shaved your head bald and just feed you bread and water. Half the folks that sit up and judge can't even go a day without eating chicken, pork, or even some type of meat or a steak on their plate. Half these folks that making these statements can't go a day without beer. Half these folks that's making these statements out here can't go a day without popping a pill. But you make judgment on somebody you don't even know. Half these folks make statements and they can't even go a day without a drink. But you make statements on people you don't even know. Half these folks can't go a day without having sex with random people. But you judge them based off what you don't know. Just because you experience a certain life of reality and how you see things, that don't mean somebody else going through the same thing. I was telling my mother last night, I said, man, Mama, some people believe that they're untouchable. That things can't happen. They so worried about somebody taking them down that they don't even see that they taking themselves down. And their biggest downfall gonna be themselves, because they were so busy trying to hurt somebody else that they ain't seeing that everybody else looking at them. It's kind of like sitting in the interrogation room. You think you just in the room at the table by yourself. Whole time on the other side of that wall, and Whole time on the other side of that wall, that glass, it's a group of people just staring at you. Let me tell you something. And it's just working at jobs. Okay? It's one thing when your employees complain about you. But when the customer start complaining about you, that's when it becomes a problem. Y'all be blessed.